Hey, what's up everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Fresh off the 12-hour live stream, I decided, you know what? We still have some stuff that we need to talk about. So let's go ahead and get right into it. And we're starting off with Nuke and their exclusive information that they have received about multiple Persona projects. Now, they are reporting this, but I am going to talk about it as if it is a rumor because it is a rumor until confirmed fact. But the way and the style that Nuke is reporting as if it's going to actually happen with all of this stuff. But once again, take it with a grain of salt until we actually hear from Atlus themselves. So let's go ahead and get into the first thing that they have to say, and that is Persona 5, the Royale, and information on that game. Then we're going to talk about Persona 5S. Then we're going to talk about Persona 5A. So let's talk about Persona 5, the Royale first. This is an enhanced version of the original game with new content. There's a very lengthy new epilogue, new characters integral to the story, including the girl seen in the previous trailer. There will be a female main character who is not the girl from the trailer, new personas and social links. The source claimed the game will have, quote, a ton of new content, a PS4 exclusive, and Atlus wanted to do a worldwide release for the game, but that will not be possible just due to the sheer amount of new content and localization. Now moving on to Persona 5S, the source has heard that Atlus has been working on a direct Persona 5 port for the Nintendo Switch, which will not feature the same enhancements of Persona 5, the Royale. However, there is talk of some Nintendo exclusive content in this version of the game, and I want to talk about this just briefly. I think it would make some sense if there was a Persona 5 for the Nintendo Switch, because Joker is coming to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate this month. Now moving on to the last thing here, and that is Persona 5A, and their source claims that the Arena title for Persona 5 has been in the works for a while now. The assumed Persona 5 Arena was supposed to release sooner, but developer Arc System Works was too busy with Dragon Ball FighterZ and its post-release content. Now, the studio is finishing up with Grand Blue Fantasy Versus for Cygames, which is a fighting game, which is set to release later this year for the PlayStation 4. Now, apparently a small team is working on the game right now, with full development to be initiated after Grand Blue Fantasy Versus project is completed. Now, the game will run on the iteration of the Dragon Ball FighterZ engine, which supports Switch, they say in this report, but I do want to just make a quick little bullet point on that. That engine is Unreal Engine 4, which is the same engine that Grand Blue Fantasy Versus runs on with Cygames, same engine Dragon Ball FighterZ. It's just Unreal Engine 4. There isn't anything outside of it's just being Unreal Engine 4. So yes, Unreal Engine 4 is supported on the Nintendo Switch. They also say, so there you have it. That's all we know about Persona projects right now. Make sure to mark April 24th and 25th on your calendars for more information directly from Atlus. They also put a disclaimer at the end saying, we would like to clarify that we are not saying the fighting game will be called Persona 5A or Persona 5 Arena. We know there is a new Persona fighting game in development and use the title Arena since it was familiar to what they did before, which was Persona 4 Arena or Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, all that they did on the PS3 and the Xbox 360. So I want to talk about this just a bit, and I kind of want to hone in on Persona 5S because that's the big thing that everybody's talking about. And like I did state, I feel that, yeah, it would make sense if Persona 5 would come over to the Switch. I mean, I can understand if there is a ton of new content that necessarily isn't in the Switch version of the game, because they've probably been working on this whole Persona 5, the Royale content for quite some time, and of course it was going to be PlayStation 4. Now, I don't think that the Royale content, if all of this turns out to be true, I'm speaking hypothetically, guys, I'm not telling you guys to believe one thing or another, we have to wait and see for the full details, but let's just say if all this turns out to be true, it does make sense that maybe they just get the vanilla version out, there's some exclusive content, and maybe that other content comes over at some point. I think that they've probably been working on it. Atlus does take their sweet time when it comes to development of things. Persona 5 took forever to come out, so who knows how long they've been working on this new version of Persona 5, the Royale and everything. But either way, I think that having a mainline Persona game on a system outside of PlayStation, that would be the first time ever. So it would be breaking new ground, and I'd be all down for it, especially since Joker is in Super Smash Bros. It makes sense that Persona 5, at least the base version, would come over. It would be great to get everything if we could, but if we don't, whatever. I'm still going to play Persona 5 the Royale, and I'm still going to play Persona 5S. I'm going to play the heck out of Persona 5S on the Nintendo Switch. So what do you guys think about this rumor here? We've been hearing about it for quite some time now. I think that Atlas has a lot to talk about soon, right? We're going to hear April 24th and 25th. Those are supposed to be the days that we're hearing about this. Yeah, I want to just double check. Yeah, April 24th and 25th. So let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comment section below. All right, now moving on to the next topic here. Virtuos has stated that their Nintendo Switch games have done exceptionally well. And they also talked about the challenge of porting over Final Fantasy X/10-2 HD on the Nintendo Switch. Now, this was in an interview with Edge last month, and shout outs to Nintendo Everything for rounding up all the info from the interview. So speaking with Edge last month, Virtuos Shanghai General Manager Elijah Freeman said the studio's games have done exceptionally well, not only critically but also commercially. Freeman added that the success has led to more opportunities and believes things will pick up even more after Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy X-10-2 HD Remaster launch on the Nintendo Switch. Now, speaking in terms of those RPGs, putting them on a console wasn't an easy task. Edge writes that, quote, "The initial conversation process was difficult in itself, but fitting the games onto the Switch's fairly modest cartridges has been a tight squeeze. Virtuos has been attempting to shrink down the file size while maintaining performance and visual quality." Virtuos Shanghai General Manager Tian Li told this to the magazine, quote, "We put a dedicated team to working on this kind of problem, so it's kind of mixing the two approaches. We have the core porting team solving the main problems, and then we have a small technical team to attack the individual problems on specific platforms." So Freeman also ended his comments about the Nintendo Switch stating, quote, "Now the industry knows about our capacity for Switch development, so this will definitely bring us more opportunities in the coming year." Now, for those who don't know, Virtuos has ported over a lot of big titles such as LA Noire, Dark Souls Remastered, Starlink Battle for Atlas, and more. So they're definitely on that higher end scale when it comes to porting over Switch titles, and it's interesting to hear them talk about Final Fantasy X/10-2 Remaster and getting everything to fit, because there's a little bit of a weird type of thing going on with this game. Or not weird, but we've seen it before. But basically here in the West, we're going to be able to get Final Fantasy X/10-2 as a split type of thing. So you get one game on the cartridge, 10, and then you get 10-2 as a download code. However, if you want the full game, or both games, I guess I should say, on one cartridge, you can actually get that with a Japanese or Asian version of the game on a 32GB cartridge. And that's what he was talking about here, for those who are kind of confused or like, wait a minute, hold up, they don't have the whole game on one cartridge or anything like that. So yeah, it is on one cartridge in the Asian version of the game, which you can import if you want to, which I know many people, in terms of people that come into here and I speak to, saying, yeah, I'm going to import the game. So that's cool. So that's cool that they're working with the Switch. Yes, there's some cartridge limitations. Kind of reminds me of the N64 at times, where developers had to get creative. But at the same time, I think that this is good. This is good in terms of them getting this type of work and being able to do that, because yes, the industry is taking notice and they are going to get more opportunities going forward in the future. So we're going to see more big titles being ported over. I would love for them to bring over more RPGs, bring over more games like Dark Souls, bring over more games like Starlink, LA Noire, bring them all over, because people want to be able to play games like that, those big console style games, anywhere, on the go or at home, with the unique features of the Switch. So it makes sense for them to keep doing their thing, and I hope they get a lot more business going forward in the future. So what do you guys think about what Virtuos had to say here when it comes to porting on the Nintendo Switch? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the final topic here, God Eater 3. The producer has talked about why the game is on the Nintendo Switch, and I have a little bit to add to this in terms of my own personal opinion. So recently, the producer of God Eater 3 talked about the game and why it's coming over to the Nintendo Switch and kind of what went down. So here is what he had to say in a recent interview. "Ever since we announced the title of the game, fans have been clamoring for a Switch version of God Eater 3. We heard many people say, quote, 'It's tough/impossible to play the game at home on the TV for me. I want to play multiplayer with my friends in person. I'm used to playing this game as a portable experience, so I want a portable version.'" So those are the things that he said. So we'll talk about that in just a bit. Now, because of this, we were working on developing the main game and the post-launch free updates. We had a separate team investigating the possibility of a port. We weighed the pros and cons of porting the game for a long time, but I'm happy to say that today we can finally confirm a Switch release for all the fans. The contents of the game will be the same as the PS4 and Steam versions. We are adding special features unique to the Switch version, such as local co-op multiplayer. And other than that, the producer did say more God Eater 3 updates are planned for the future, with news to follow later on. The team will continue to listen to fan requests and opinions on the game. So let's talk about this just a little bit, because a lot of people don't understand or didn't know necessarily that this game was going to come over, but the base of this game has been portable. It started on the PSP, and then it really flourished on the PS Vita with God Eater 2. That's where a lot of their sales, especially in Japan, came from. So for the developers, if they were being this silly or quit to think that fans didn't want that, or they would think that it wouldn't be a good business opportunity, I would say that they don't know what they're doing, because you can clearly see with the last God Eater game that it sold ridiculously better on the PS Vita in Japan than it did on the PS3 or PS4. I forgot which system was on, but on the normal system in terms of console release. People want to be able to play that portably. People want to be able to play it anywhere that they want, and this is a very grindy, long type of game. You don't want to be stuck to a TV playing it the whole time, especially when you're on autopilot for a lot of the game, just farming and doing stuff like that. It's much easier to play it on a portable device, and the graphics aren't anything crazy. They're not bad, but they're not anything crazy, and God Eater has never been known for its graphics. So it makes sense, and I think that he's talking in a certain type of way, but I feel that especially when those Japanese sales came out and the game literally lost more than half of its audience that it had in God Eater 2, even with the bigger install base on the PlayStation 4 and the PC, and I don't really think it did that well over here in the West. People just didn't care as much of the game. I think that it pretty much solidified that this game was going to be getting a Nintendo Switch port, because they definitely sold a lot less than God Eater 2 in Japan with the PS Vita, which has a tiny install base when you think about it, because even in Japan, the PS4 has a bigger install base than the PS Vita. So, I mean, the fact that they sold way more with that just kind of goes to show you that this game had to come over, and even before they finished the development of the game, they were already thinking about it, and they didn't even ask us to port bag or anything like that, even though people were port bagging because, you know, they want to play the game portably. They didn't even call out and ask us for that. They basically just announced the game 2 months after the release of the international or Western version of it, because this game did come out in February when it comes to the West on the PS4 and PC, and then it came out in December in Japan. So it didn't really take them too long, and we're getting it here in July on the Nintendo Switch with some exclusive content, local multiplayer in person there, so that's also really cool. Up to 8 players online. That's for every version, but that's cool that we're getting that style of game. And then of course we have the Switch exclusive Tales of Vesperia costumes as well, where you can dress up as Estelle or Yuri. Lol. So pretty good overall. So what do you guys think about all the information that we went over here? I would love to hear you guys' thoughts in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Go ahead and check out the links in the description below. We got Facebook and Twitter. Go ahead and give us a like and a follow on our social media. Hit that like button if you did like this video. Let me know you guys want more content like this going forward in the future. And subscribe to PlayerEssence for the latest RPG, Japanese, and Nintendo gaming news. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.